commerce and smartphone purchase at the same time. They won't have known anything else. So you have this potential for these patterns to be established right from the start, which leapfrog a lot of things. Like even in video on demand, some people will never go buy a CD in Africa. They may never go, do certain things. So anyways, you have this potential for these patterns to be established right from the start. And that's where the potential for leapfrogging comes in.
Right. Now, I think people are already in their heads forming a sort of yes, but, and yes, there's this fantastic technology and there's better governance, but there is the ongoing tragedies of South Sudan. There is massive out-migration of people from Central Africa traveling all the way to Tunisia in order to get to Italy. There is Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb. On a more prosaic level, there are regular power outages across Nigeria. Do those things impede or stop the trends you're seeing? Or do you think these are coexisting, or even do the bad things become smothered by the good?
I think that they're bumps in the road, and they're constraints on growth, but they're not derailing growth. And so in the book, we do have a chapter called Deal Breakers. It's talking about the African growth story. What are the things that actually could significantly derail the growth story? Not just bumps in the road or not constraints on growth. Because there are a lot of constraints on growth. The power issue in Nigeria, if electricity was readily available at cheaper prices across Nigeria, estimates are that GDP growth rates as a whole in the country would increase by 2 to 4%, which is humongous. I mean, it would be like the U.S. doubling the growth rate for, on an annual basis because power is right. So that is constraining growth, but it's not derailing growth in Nigeria. And so we see the things that can derail growth or significantly alter the path, things like a failure to create jobs. Because you have 70% of people under the age of 30. You have the fastest growing youth population in the world. Nigeria still have 5.2 children per woman right now. You need to create jobs at an exponential rate in order to absorb like that, to square that Malthusian issue that I just spoke about, that the aspirations of the youth is outstripping their means with no jobs. So a failure to create jobs, a failure to have responsive institutions that kind of meet those needs. And they don't have to be perfect institutions. They just have to be working more in the public good than against it. And then lastly, black swan type events. If an Ebola had been very